When we get up in the morning, along with coffee, toast, and cake. If you're like the old stone roadie, you like to wake and bake. Now let's join Craig, Reed, and Griff Martin as we head out on the road. So sit right back, buckle right in. It's a wake and bake morning show. It's a wake and bake morning show. It's a wake and bake morning show. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Time to rise and shine. I'm Shelby Barrett, the Stonette for the Stoned Roadie Show, and it's time to wake and bake with Craig Reed and Griff Martin.
Okay, Griff Martin with the Stoned Roadie podcast on assignment. On the road with Griff Martin, and I'm on my way to Steve Reynolds' house. Steve Reynolds, he was a good friend of Alan Collins before. Let me see. It was after the Lynyrd Skynyrd band, but it was around the time Alan Collins band and Rossington Collins. But anyway, he was friends with Alan, and he's a guy that he acquired the Firebird, that Gibson Firebird that got the headstock broken on it. It was in the whistle test that when Lynyrd Skynyrd was over in England, and he acquired that guitar and fixed it up, and he had that guitar for some time. He ended up auctioning it off. He had some, his wife had some health reasons, so he had to auction that off. But he had that guitar and he rescued it from Alan's house. That's just one of the cool stories we'll get him to talk about. And I think he has some other stuff that used to belong to Alan. But on my way over to Steve's house, and we're gonna get some really great information and stories out of Steve. So see you when we get there. All right, Griff Martin on the road with the Stone Roadie podcast, and we got a special guest here, Steve Reynolds. And Steve Reynolds is a really interesting guy. This guy here, he knew Alan Collins really well, and he also knew Craig. They were like best friends, and so he kind of like was back in the day with Craig and the Rossington Collins band, Alan Collins band, was when he started kind of hanging out, I think, with Alan. Isn't that right?
Yep, that's it.
And so he invited me to his house very graciously, and he's got like a little band room out here with some cool stuff in it, and we're going to walk inside, and he's going to show us some neat stuff. First off, Steve, how was it you came to meet Craig?
I was in a band called Rainbow Warrior, and we had a band room in Mandarin, and the guitar player and the sound man lived in the same apartment complex that Craig did, and he seen them putting a guitar in the car to go to rehearsal, and he said, "Hey, who are y'all?" or whatever, and they told him that they had a band right up the road, so he said, "Well, I work for Lynyrd Skynyrd. Can I come over and see you guys practice?" And they were like, "Yeah, right, sure you do, but yeah, come on over." So they went to the rehearsal, and they told me when they got there that some guy coming over there that says he worked for Lynyrd Skynyrd that wants to see us play. So I said, "Yeah, right." So this big red Jeep pulls up that used to belong to Ronnie Van Zant, and it was all jacked up, had 280Z seats in it, and a TV. He's watching TV, big long hair, smoking pot, and got the radio going. And I said, "Who in the heck is this guy?" So after that, we become really good friends, and he started coming to our rehearsal and just started bringing all this equipment that Skynyrd didn't use anymore, speakers and amps and mixing boards and, PA speakers. Just anything we wanted to
right.
have. He just, because they had warehouses full of it.
So
that's how I met Craig.
And when was it that you got hooked up with Alan?
That I met Craig in '82, about the time that the Rossington Collins band broke up, and I didn't meet Alan until probably the middle of '83.
Oh, okay.
And that's when Craig loaned us all the equipment, and the sound man loaned an amp, a PVCS 800, to get repaired to a guy, and the guy said it got stolen. so Craig got mad and said, you know what, I want all my stuff back if y'all going to be like that. And I was like, no way. So I worked on Cassett Avenue at King Auto Air, and I seen Alan pull into their studio in his Mercedes, the black one, and I pulled up there and walked in the door and walked in the office and introduced myself, and he was in the office with Larkin, and I told him that who I was, and he said he knew who I was, that he'd been over to our, you know, Craig told him he loaned us some equipment and all, and I told him I didn't want him to think that we had anything to do with the amp getting stolen. He said, I'm the main horse here, don't you worry about Craig. So after that, me and Alan were best friends, and I didn't have to worry about Craig no more.
So that straightened that right out.
That straightened that right out. So,
Alan believed you, and you guys.
And I met Larkin at the same time, and so both of them knew, you know, met me at the same time, and that's how I became really good friends. And I was able to keep all the cases and stuff that I'd gotten back then. And then after that, the Alan Collins band broke up. And Alan, we were looking for a bass player in our band, and we asked Alan a bass player, and he said Rick Yarborough, which was going to be the bass player for Rosin and Collins until Leon got back. So he came over and started playing with us, and he'd recorded with Alan, and he talked Alan into coming over and sitting in with us. So Alan came over and brought a little PV Pacer and his black Strat, and came in and sat down and hooked up his stuff and played with us.
Wow, I'd be damned. I
And
bet you
that
was
was
cool.
really cool, you know, because we were like Van Halen.
What was the first thing he played? You remember?
I have no
Been a
clue.
while.
I think we just played some of our originals, and he played along with it or whatever.
Yeah.
But, after that rehearsal, he called Rick the next day and said if me and Rick wanted to start a band with him to bring all of our stuff to his house. So I quit that band right then and moved all my stuff to Alan's house, and right after that's when Craig went on the road left the band, you know, after the Alan Collins band, and went to Journey or Foreigner or whatever. He went on the road.
Yeah.
And but anyway, after that, I pretty much stayed with Alan all the way to the car crash.
Cool. Well, we'll get into some more of the Alan stories and stuff, and you got a lot of them, and because I've heard some of them, and they're pretty good. You want to step inside and take a look at your little studio here?
Just my little band room or whatever, with some of the stuff that I still have.
Yeah, we're kind of like back in the woods back here, and it's kind of quiet and really neat. He's got some pictures of looks like Lynyrd Skynyrd pictures here. There he is, the man himself, Alan. And here's a pretty familiar picture I think a lot of people have seen, along with this one. There's a really cool picture. I think I've seen this one before too.
That's in the book.
Yeah, that's where I saw it, was in the book. And then I was looking at this, and he said, did you look real close at that, you know? And I was like, well, what's going on with that? And I saw, you can't really tell too close, but that says Gene Odom. And I said, you know, that Gene Odom, he either sells or gives away anything he ever had. And I said, how'd you get that? And he, how was he got that? He
put it in, Judy had a big auction, and a buddy of mine bought all these records and gave them to me.
Yeah, so that's how
That's how
happened.
I got that particular record. But
A lot of these you see like same thing Craig has on his wall of his house, and they're just really cool, you know, gold and platinum.
Alan tried to give me a gold record one time that they broke it, but somebody, he had a party at his house, and they were all doing drugs or whatever, and somebody said, I wonder, is that the real record that y'all recorded in there? And he's like, I don't know. So they broke it and put it on a record player to see if it would play.
Really?
And he said, no, it ain't the right record. And he
That's
said,
hilarious.
do you want it? And I was like, no, I want my own gold record. I said, you said he's going to write some songs with me. I want my own gold record. And he said, okay. But I kicked myself in the butt for not taking the gold record that he tried to give me back then.
It's probably that kind of attitude that you had that made him like you, you know, that you weren't like one of these kind of guys that take things from him. So you got you a cool little drum set rig here.
Yeah, I still play. I quit playing about 5 years ago. I was in a country rock band called Blackwater, and we played all over Northeast Florida and had a lot of fun. Bar band. Played a lot of Skynyrd, a lot of new country and stuff, and I'm still playing.
And then you got a case that used to belong to Skynyrd here.
Yeah, that's the only one left. I had a whole bunch of them, and that's the only one left. And that was a keyboard case for one of Billy Powell's keyboards.
Wow, see, that's pretty cool. Not too many people get to see, you know, some artifacts that came from Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Right,
you know?
This is Alan's guitar right here, one of them.
Oh, wow.
This is one he used in Rosin and Collins and Alan Collins. And he got it from a guild endorsement, and it's the only one that ever got used from that. And he broke the headstock on it. And I was joking with him at his house. He had it in a guitar stand. I said, "Well, you got a broke guitar in there." And he said, "You want it? Take it." And I was just joking with him, and he went and got the case. But he made me take the original, the Gibson. He put Gibson parts in it. He put Gibson pickups, Gibson pods, and an old Gibson whammy bar like he used on his Les Pauls. But this was one of his favorite guitars because it's not a bolt-on neck. It's one piece of wood.
Oh, wow.
There's no bolt. There's nothing here, but you can see that where the crack's still there. Mike Estes got it fixed for me, and I told him to leave it the way it was. But it plays really good. I let Buddy Crump play it. He played it in a show out at the beach about 6 months ago.
There's a video out there of Buddy Crump playing that Firebird.
That video was taken right there.
Yeah, right over here.
Right over there. That amp was sitting over there. But
yeah, we're going to get into the story about that Firebird on the way out here. I was kind of like talking about how you got that Firebird, but I didn't go into detail about it because I probably would have butchered the story. You know, I got to almost hear the story 2 or 3 times before I get it right, you know.
Right. Yeah, we can sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, but this is you said when he put it together, did Alan do all of that stuff himself?
Mike Sparks did it for him.
Sparks?
Mike Sparks built two of his Les Pauls and this one, and he took care of all Alan's guitars.
So is this recorded on anything?
He used it on Alan Collins' band. He used it it wasn't recorded with Rosin and Collins, but he used it on stage with Rosin and Collins. He didn't get it until '81, and he used it on Misery Loves Company. That's what Mike Sparks told me.
Okay, that's the original case, huh?
Yeah, he gave me the case and all.
Wow.
And really I've had it since I was 21 years old, and I'm 61 now, and I would never get rid of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, well, it's really cool to be in here and visiting with you here inside your little gig room, and that's a really cool picture of Ronnie right there.
This is a microphone. I found a microphone in 2 of them in flight cases, and I never knew what they were. Alan told me they belonged to Ronnie, and Craig put tape around there so he wouldn't hold his hand no higher and make it feedback.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so all the not all of them, but most of them, Craig put tape on like that. And about, I don't know how many years ago, I asked Craig about that microphone, and he said that was Ronnie's microphone, and he only had 2 of these that had the tape like that on it, and I had one, and Craig had the other one, and he lost it. But it's a Briar. And I have pictures of that microphone too, but anyway.
Yeah, that's a cool little backstory there. I mean, that's a great picture. I've never seen that picture before right there.
I got tons of pictures I'm going to show you that's just going to blow your mind.
Yeah, we like pictures.
This is the last guitar Alan played. That was at the studio up on cassette right before the car crash. And that's a 57 Strat hardtail.
And these amps, these were Alan's
That's Alan's amp. Now this is the equipment room after Craig left. This is all the old tweed cabinets from the original Lynyrd Skynyrd, and there's my blue case that's sitting right there.
Oh,
those
wow.
are all my cases. All these right here, and all those got stolen. But anyway, that's all from One More from the Road. Pictures right there. But this was at the warehouse on cassette. And I took this picture probably 6 months before Alan got in a car crash. And when the tribute band came in and they showed that big picture of the wall with all the people standing in front of it with all the cases behind them, that's all the cases that they had standing behind all of them when they started the tribute band. They went in and literally throwed all this away and rebuilt all the wooden cabinets like this for the tribute tour. And I didn't know about it until after the fact, but Joe Osborne took all these Lynyrd Skynyrd original cabinets and chunked them in the garbage.
So when you say threw them away, he actually physically threw them in the trash.
Garbage. Yeah. That's all right. That's my dog. Darlene.
Good dog.
It's all right. That's Darlene. Let me go on out.
Yeah. So these type of amps and things, I guess some of them, maybe from Lynyrd Skynyrd, made it out to some of the music stores and things, but I guess not these.
No, actually,
because I know Brandon Campbell
did the research on these, and he literally went to Peavy and talked Peavy, and they wanted to do either white or black, and he said they wanted something different, and Skynyrd didn't, or Peavy didn't put any tweed stuff on any of their cabinets. Fender did, so he talked Hartley Peavy into covering all of theirs in tweed, and they were the only ones with the tweed, tweed under light makes it look like it's white. So when you look at the One More from the Road album, I always thought all the cabinets were white, but they're not. They're yellow and had a special brown grill cloth on them. But
you got any other cool pictures over here?
Yeah, I got tons. I got other bands too. There's Gary and Dale here.
That's a pretty cool picture.
I have a blowed up one, but that's me and Alan and Rick Yarbrough when we first started playing together. That's at Alan's house. You can see the gold records behind them.
Yeah, you know, you don't really get to see too many pictures, you know, of the guys. And is that Ronnie?
No, that's Rick Yarbrough.
Oh, Rick Yarbrough.
Rick I was telling you about when we started the band. Here's the
Looks
car.
like Ronnie.
Here's the car I got from Alan.
Wow. Yeah, you were telling me it was a little rusted out.
There's a bullet hole in this door. I could show you a closer picture to it. Alan, behind his house, he had a wooden fence around the swimming pool. And I'm going to show you tomorrow when we go for a trip. Alan used to step out the back door and shoot the gun up in the air if somebody come out behind his house he didn't want there. And anyway, he shot the fence and he forgot the car was on the other side of the fence and blowed a big old hole in the door.
Yeah, that was the car you said was kind of rusty, right? And you really couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, like I said, I got tons of pictures here that I have to show you that oh, there's the back side of the car. It was rough. That plaque, that right there, when you came in the door, I don't know if you noticed that at the door when you came in, there's a Alan Collins thing right there.
Oh, yeah?
That's the only piece left out of all these cases. But that's Derek drum kit. And Alan said I could have one. Well, I said, I ain't taking those drums, they ain't mine. I took one of the snare drums, but Derek has thanked me later because Alan owned them and he could have literally gave them to me, but like I said, I wasn't.
Where did they end up?
Derek got them.
Derek got them?
Yeah.
Where's that, you said when we came in, where was it at?
Oh, outside the door here.
Oh.
That's the only thing left out of all those big white drum cases. Craig gave them all to me. He called me and said they were in a warehouse. You want them, come get them. I don't know why I went and got them because they were so big. They were made for a semi. They were real tall and bulky. And
yeah, that's a piece of treasure right there.
What happened after the Rosin and Collins band, Alan painted white over this and put his name. The Rosin and Collins is underneath this white paint right here.
Oh, happy damn.
And all their cases were white like that, the guitar cases and the drum cases and all that stuff.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, yeah, I walked right past that.
We played at the Metropolitan Park. There's little Ronnie right there.
Little Ronnie, the late Little Ronnie.
I got a video. I'm gonna post some videos. He was a freak of nature.
Here's that Firebird right here. Tell me the story about that Firebird, Steve. How you acquired that thing.
Where's the car at?
Yeah, I remember that's how the story started.
You might want to edit just a little bit here. That was at Alan's house, and Alan took that picture.
Oh wow!
And that was in '85. And you can see Billy's white monitor speaker right there.
And those are your drums?
Those are my drums.
Your drums set up at Alan's house. Cool.
This is after Alan told me to bring my stuff to his house. I couldn't get there quick enough, and I still got that flag too.
Those drums, what happened to them?
They got stolen. I lost so much stuff. You would not
I guess that happens a lot, you know.
Yeah. There's my guest. He's playing the guitar that Steve Gaines played. I know.
All right, Estes, if you're watching, there you are, man. There's a young Estes right there.
While we're talking about Mike Estes real quick, hang on one second. I took this off a telephone pole in Hamilton, Ohio.
Hell in high water. Yeah, and the story behind that is Estes called up to the little studio over there, and he wanted to talk to I guess Alan, right?
He called over there. He found Roscoe Productions in the phone book. He called it, and Craig answered the phone. And Craig was going to hang up because he didn't know who he was until he told me he was a guitar player and he lived in Ohio. So that kept him on the phone, and he told him he wanted him to ask Alan what would be a good name for his band. So Craig says, hang on. He had three-way calling, so he told Mike not to say nothing. So he called Alan, and Alan answered the phone, and Craig told Alan that the kid in Ohio was looking for a name for his band. What would be a good name? And he said, Helen and Highwater. So that's how Helen and Highwater and Mike Estes' first contact with Alan. And when he came down here with his whole band, I helped his band. We were playing clubs too at Lynyrd Skynyrd all over town, and I helped Lynyrd get Mike hired on. At that time, everybody around here in the 80s, they didn't play Lynyrd Skynyrd or Marshall Tucker or none of that. And here comes Mike Estes from Ohio, and I'm like, who are these guys? And I went to the bar to watch them, and they were playing Freebird, and I'm like, where are these, and so that's how me and Mike Estes become friends. So I went to Ohio and seen them play, and I got this
wow, man.
Back then.
Yeah, you're a little bit like Craig. You know how to hold on to stuff. That's important. So you got it. Did you find that picture?
I'm working on it.
Here's the photograph that he had of Ronnie's microphone. One of Ronnie's microphone. You can see that white tape on there. Craig put it on there because if Ronnie held his hand any higher than that white tape, then you would get feedback. So that's a cool thing. I think for people to know about that, that's really pretty awesome.
This was one of Alan's favorite cars. I know it looks terrible, but he drove this everywhere, and I drove it a lot. Anybody that came over drove him to the liquor store in it. After he passed away, Gary was supposed to get this too. He got Ronnie Van Zant's Mercedes that Alan bought from Judy, and Larkin told me he paid $70,000 for it from Judy after the plane crash. And after Alan passed away, Larkin said Gary could have it for $70,000, and he come and got it, and he bought the coupe for Craig, $2,500. And he called me, or anyway, Gary was supposed to get this for Dale, but Larkin said he couldn't get the title. He couldn't find the title. So Gary said, well, find the title and I'll come get it. So Larkin said, I ain't worried about that. So he came by where I worked and asked me if I wanted it for $500. I said, yeah, I'll come get it. So I got a car hauler and went and got the car. And I was at Alan's house getting the car. There was rafters in the garage that had guitar cases in it. And he said, Steve, pull those cases down. And I pulled them all down and opened them all up. And they were all empty except for one. And it was the broke Firebird. And the whole headstock was gone. All the electronics were gone. And the pick guard and the 2 screws were still in it to hold that. And I took it and had it repaired. Had a whole new headstock. It's been documented. And it took me 5 years to find the correct pickups to put back in it. And those are the original knobs. But it was all back together the way it was. And that's how I got the Firebird.
And that's the one that Crump played in
That's
here.
the one from Old Gray Whistle Test. He played it from 74, actually 75 and 76. Thank you, Brandon Campbell. He did all the research and said that Alan played that guitar for 90 shows. And on April 6th in Philadelphia, while playing Freebird, the headstock just popped over. And Alan laid it down and Ronnie picked it up and throwed it in the crowd. And Alan was like, no. So Craig and Joe Barnes dove in the crowd and got it back.
Yeah.
And Joe Barnes told me he pulled the pickups out of it in the whammy bar because Alan kept all of his electronics from Firebird to Firebird. He broke 3 or 4 of them. And anyway, so he just pulled the guts out of it and put in the next one that came along. And the next one he used at the Fox Theater. And after the Fox Theater, the neck cracked on it, and he gave it to the guy in the Climax Blues Band.
Oh, wow.
And it showed up on eBay about 5 years ago, and Brandon Campbell almost got the bid on it. But they took, I mean, he already altered it. He put different pickups in it. He used it. But that's the only other Firebird, the 3 of them I know of, and it exists, is that one, the Firebird 1, his original one, and the other one that the guy from Climax.
Those guitars are pretty fragile, huh?
Yeah, the way the necks are made on them, and they lay them in the case actually broke the guitar because the tuning keys went straight out the back.
Yeah.
So when you laid it down in there, the tuning keys were pushing up on the headstock, and it was real thin because it was all one piece of wood. So that's 99% of them got broke like
and
that.
this one too, you know, it's got a crack
It's all
in
one.
it.
It's all one piece of wood.
In the back side, you can see it back there in this dark, but it's got a crack in it, and that guitar right there, even that one feels really fragile. You know, I don't know. It's just because of the age of it or whatever, but it's hard to believe.
Swimming pool's right there.
Okay, this is Ronnie's house right here.
On Brickyard
And this
Road.
on Brickyard Road. It's kind of hard to see, but this was after the plane crash and before they tore it. Burned down, didn't it?
Yeah, Robert Nix moved in it, and
there's
for Atlanta Rhythm section.
Yeah, I remember Joe Crimp telling me about
And
that.
this is a swimming pool, and it was shaped like a guitar. And right there on the headstock, he put 38 special bullets all around where you come in, and people dug them out.
Oh wow!
And this is where he kept his lawnmower. That's his little carport right there. But those were taken in probably 91.
Yeah, not too many people have seen a picture of Ronnie Van Zant's
I have a
pool.
picture of the front.
So there's Ronnie Van Zant's pool right there. There's a good picture of Ronnie right here. Got the rebel flag in the back. Wow, really cool pictures. The calendar.
That's from 94, I think.
Is that when he was in Skynyrd?
Yeah, that's him and Gary right there, and that's him by himself.
There's Mike Estes and
Gary Rossington.
Gary Rossington.
There's a picture in here of Ronnie. I think it's in there. There it is. And you see that What'd you do with that microphone picture? Here's one in front of Steve Gaines.
All right, Ronnie's microphone in front of Steve Gaines.
And you can see the tape on it.
And that's the one that one of the ones you
Yeah,
had?
right.
And there's the close-up of the microphone with the tape on it. And you auctioned that off, right?
Yes, sir.
With the Firebird, too.
Yeah. I sold 2 microphones, 2 of Billy Powell's white monitors that he used on stage. Those white ones, and Alan's Firebird. And the only reason I did sell it is because my wife got cancer.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's probably a gift from Alan to you that he didn't even know at the time, but if he knew now, he would certainly.
Yeah,
he would certainly bless you for that.
Told me he'd take care of me. But.
And he did. Got a black and white Rossington Collins. Gary, if you're looking, man, this is you and Alan.
Now this came off of Alan's guitar amp.
Oh wow!
After the Alan Collins band broke up, and this one too. This is another one that was on the back of the other cabinet back from the day.
Yeah.
Dirty, it's all. But it was reconed.
So that speaker belonged to Alan.
Yeah, it was reconed when they did the tribute tour. It's got a date on it, 80. There it is, right there, 87.
Oh wow!
Alan had them recone it. It's one of the old Fenders. What they did, all the PV cabinets, they pulled all the PV speakers out and put JBLs and everything. And back in the day, Skynyrd used Fender amps, and this is JBL copied Fender. This is this speaker's worth about $700, not even being Alan's. Wow. But it's original from the 60s, a Fender JBL, I call it. But he had a PV pacer they used for the rehearse tuning room, and he put one of these in that 65 watt solid state PV practice amp, and that was a bad little mother. And Brandon went and bought him one now, so he's got him a PV pacer. He would kill to get that speaker from me.
I bet he. Wow, there's Bernice right there, huh, Steve? Yeah.
Yeah, that's in a guitar magazine that was taken in the 90s. And at the time this was taken, the tribute band was going on. It had Kirk Custer in it. And Travis Tritt came to town and they played a gig downtown Jacksonville at a lawnmower race.
Yeah,
and
the one that Craig was in.
I got to stand on stage and everything with Travis Tritt back there. That's when he was really big, and Dale was there and everybody. And I hauled all their guitar amps down there for them. And after the show was over, Craig got me to just take all the equipment back to my house, and I hid the van in the garage. And I took Bernice upstairs and put it in my closet. And I had this guitar magazine at the same time, and I had Bernice. I could have took a picture of me holding Bernice with this picture, but I didn't do it.
Wow.
Anyway, that's my Bernice. But if you look at these pickups right here, if you really look at it really close, this guitar has a lot of mileage on it, and you can see the screws where he broke and they glued on the back side of the neck. You can't see it from this point, and there's a scratch right there. But that guitar is what a piece of history that is.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
But
and you had it in your house.
I had it in my house.
That's crazy.
For one night.
All right, we got Steve here. He's going to tell a little Alan Collins story that he started, and I stopped him.
Yeah, he get in trouble when he drove cars, so anytime he could get anybody to come over and run him to the liquor store or wherever he wanted to go, that was cool. But I'd take him to the liquor store, and we'd pull through the drive-thru, and he could get a canned Coke and a half pint of Jack Daniels. He could pop the top on the Coke and pull that plastic off and spin that top off of that just that quick.
Oh wow.
And the poor guy, he would literally drink until he completely passed out in his chair, and I tried to stop him from doing that, and got him rehearsing and told him if he wanted to do any drugs or alcohol, he had to wait till after 3 hours of rehearsal, and I'd take him and whoever else wherever they wanted to go, and sometimes that didn't turn out real good. You know, and sides of town that I shouldn't be in, or you know. But anyway, they were being bad. I never did any hard drugs or nothing like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big secret that they did hard drugs. So
right,
it's nothing. It's nothing that we didn't know.
Never no shortage of the powder or the alcohol. And one night I took him, went to the liquor store, and we went up in the Mandarin, and there was a bar at Julian Creek or Goodby's Creek. There's a Hooters over here, and across the street there was a bar that sat down in there called the Sandpiper. So he said, we're going to go there and meet up with the guy that's got the powder, the cocaine or whatever. So we go in there, and we walk in this old bar, and there's this big old guy sitting at the bar, and as soon as we walked in, Alan said, Robert. I'm like, who the hell is Robert? You know, some big old guy sitting at the bar. It was Robert Nix.
Oh,
the
wow.
drummer from Atlanta Rhythm Section, which I had no clue who he was. I mean, I knew who
the guy who bought Ronnie's house.
Right. He also played Tuesday's Gone on Pronounced album on the drums.
Oh, wow,
he was the drummer for
yeah, you know, Joe Crimp told me that.
Yeah, Tuesday's Gone. It has got a lag to it, and for some reason, Alan told me Bob Burns couldn't quite get that lag right, and so they offered to see if Robert Nix could play it. So anyway, we seated at Robert Nix, and Alan's hugging him, you know, and then I probably shouldn't tell all these drug stories. So anyway, the drug guy comes in, and he has a film case full of coke, and we all go in the bathroom, and they're pouring it on their hands and doing like and the guy that brought it, he's like just trying to catch all of this is falling. So then we left there and went back to Alan's house, and Alan had to go back in the studio and show Robert what we're doing. So I got to play my drums for Robert Nix. He stood right there and watched me play drums to Alan's songs. So Robert Nix, he's a writer. He's a writer or whatever. He wrote Spooky and all those really good songs from Atlanta Rhythm Section. He wrote the lyrics to them. So he followed Alan around that whole night with a pen, trying to get Alan to play some tunes so he could try to write lyrics to it. So that was my that's how I met Robert Nix.
Oh wow, man!
So that was in '85.
Yeah, and so anybody else that you met?
Yeah, I was at work, and he called me up. He said, "Get your butt over here now! I got a guitar player." And I'm like, "Okay." So I got off work and I hauled butt over there. I didn't know who it was, and I walked in the studio, and Mike Owens was standing there. He's got an afro, playing the guitar, and they've already been playing and drinking for a few hours. So Mike Owens joined the band that day.
Oh, wow.
And we started writing songs from that point on. And we worked together for probably...
So he just said he had a guitar player.
He said, I got a guitar player. Get your ass... That's how he talked to me. He'd tell me, I'm going to kick your butt. You don't get over here now. Or you better speed up. If I'm driving the car, he'd stick his foot over there and look at me and go... I'll pay the ticket, you know, we're going 100 miles an hour down the road, you know, I didn't think about dying, you know, or whatever, but anyway, we got in a few car crashes that way, but it was a lot of fun. You know, a lot of people like, you know,
well, it's fun now. Back then,
I didn't know no better, I guess is the right word. I was 21 years old.
Yeah, you can laugh about it now, but at the time, it's like when I remember Joe Crimp was telling me when he was in the car with Alan, you thought you were going to die the entire time you were in there.
Well, nobody wanted to be in the car if Alan was driving.
Exactly.
Okay? That's a whole nother story too. I could tell the story about how Alan bought the car that he got paralyzed in.
Yeah, and we're going to go tomorrow and take a look at that spot.
I'm going to really blow y'all's mind tomorrow. I'm going to show you where all the guys in Rosin and Collins parked outside of Alan's house in another lot. And I always joked about it. Alan, I can't remember if it was a 270 or a 308 or a 3 Winchester bolt action, big rifle. He kept it in his living room right there. And anybody that come up there that knew him real well could park in that lot next door and had a gate that could walk right into the studio. One night I'm sitting in the living room with him, and he heard somebody out there, and he stuck his head out the back door, and it was some people he didn't want to talk to, and he didn't want them there. Alan says, I'll take care of this.
He got that rifle out?
He got that rifle out and walked out the back door and shot that bitch up in the air.
Yeah, Craig told me about that.
I've never seen people fly away so hard in my life. But anyway.
So you were there. Craig was there at that thing, right?
That was on, he did it quite often. It wasn't just a one-time deal. But I do have a gun I want to show you that belonged to Alan. That,
oh, yeah, cool.
I got it, my brother bought it in North Carolina in 1982. And I showed it to Alan, and he had to have it. I mean, there was no if, and he had to have this gun, and he had quite a few guns. So my brother sold it to him. And after Alan passed away, about the same time that I got the car, Larkin asked me if I wanted the gun back. And I got the gun back, and I still have it. And it was a Mac 10 machine gun.
Oh, shit.
And trust me, Alan like
did he shoot that in the creek behind his house?
He shot it, but I don't know of any stories in shooting it at anybody.
No,
There is a horror story
it.
one night that he got really messed up on drinking and everything, and he started, I don't know what the right word is, but anyway, his bedroom is at the end of the hall upstairs, and Amy and Allison's bedrooms were on the same side. On this side, and you had to go straight through there, and the guest bedroom was on the left, and then the stairs go down. He thought somebody was coming up the stairs, and he shot that rifle in the house straight across those girls' bedrooms in the hall right there.
Oh, wow. Man.
And that wasn't good.
No,
but anyway, I mean, he would never hurt his children by any means, but when you drink a lot of alcohol, it's bad. He tried to get off his stuff. He had to go wash police cars one weekend for driving and drinking, and I dropped him off at the police station, and the next day he called me, said he was in the hospital. He walked into the police station and sat down on the bench and woke up in the hospital. He had a seizure. They had him on Antabute or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
drinking,
yeah, And he drank on Antabute.
Probably,
yeah.
Knowing him, probably, yeah. But that wasn't good, and when he was washing police cars down there, that's where he met Debbie Watts, the one that got in the car crash with him.
Oh, is that? Do you know much about her? Did you ever meet her?
Yes.
Yeah?
I was.
Because we were like doing a podcast and we were talking about her, and we kind of like would like to have some more information about her. Whatever you know.
He didn't really know her that well. I mean, he met her. She got in trouble too, and she had a little 280Z, and I had a girlfriend. Got a girlfriend not long before he met her. So he had a girlfriend and I had a girlfriend, which we normally before that we were both single, so we was out looking for women all the time, and Alan had quite a few girlfriends. So anyway, he met her there, and I went to his house, and he said, "Steve, this is Debbie," and that's how I met her. And that was about a month before the car crash, and a week or so after that, I met Alan at the studio, or took Alan to the studio to rehearse with that guitar and that right there, and we rehearsed the songs and let Debbie hear it. She brought one of her friends up there, and we played some songs for him and let her hear the songs. And we left the cassette studio, and he says, "Pull into the Ford dealership here. I want to look at one of those Thunderbirds. I think those things look really cool." And if I had any brains, he always wrecked cars. He always had Lincolns and Mercedes and stuff that if you hit a tree or another car, you might live through it. But those Ford Thunderbirds were not anywhere made for any kind of wreck, and it was just a 4-cylinder, 5-speed with a turbocharged.
Yeah.
So we pull up in there, and Alan gets out with no shoes on, okay, and he walks in there, and he got no shoes on. He looks like he ain't got nothing or whatever, and he says, "I want to look at one of those Thunderbirds." And they got us a salesman up there, and it was the first car the man had ever sold. He was a young guy. I actually, he posted on the thing or whatever that he remembered that. So anyway, they went and got the keys for the car, and we went out and got in the Thunderbird. And it was another thing he liked. Black and red was his favorite color. So the car was black and red, so that had one thing going for it. So we get in the car, and the salesman says, "I got to drive it off the lot." So we all jumped in the car, took off down the road. He pulled over and said, "Here, you drive." And I was saying to myself, "Oh God, Alan's going to drive?" So Alan gets in the driver's seat, and he goes through the gears, all spinning the tires, and the salesman's sitting over there going, oh my God, oh my God. So then he slid the car, stopped, and he said, Steve, I want you to drive it. So I said, okay, I'll drive it. So I drove it, and I did like he did or whatever. It was an extremely fast car from 0 to 100. But after that, it was, it's just a small motor, turbocharged.
Yeah.
So he went back over there the next day and took the Oldsmobile that he had, the Delta 88, traded it in, and bought the car. Took it home.
Oh, so he didn't take it home that night?
No, he didn't take it home that night. He went back. Larkin had to go up there, I guess, because he took care of all of his paperwork.
Yeah.
So they went up there and got the car. But anyway, when we were looking at the car, the guy asked him, how you finance it? Alan says, I want to pay cash. But and that's when Larkin brought the other car.
Do you remember how much it cost at the time, or?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I would imagine over 10 grand. I would imagine.
Yeah.
It was an 85, and this was in January '86.
Probably just pocket change for Alan at the time.
And so about a week later, I go over to his house, and I got him pot here and there and whatever else, and I'm coming down Pomegranate Road, and here I see the Thunderbird coming up the road, and they stop, and he said, go back to the house, follow me back to the house, you can go with us. I said, okay. So I went back to the house and got out of my truck and got in that car with them two. And we went, I probably shouldn't tell this story. Lord help us.
I don't think anybody would be surprised.
Well, where I'm going to take you, you might be surprised, okay? We go to Eckerd Drug Store. And Alan said she got out of the car and ran in the store, in the Eckerd Drugs. It was on San Jose up there. By Hartley Road. It's not there anymore. It's a Whole Foods or whatever now. But anyway, she gets out of the car and runs into the Eckerds, and Alan says, watch this, this girl can get some shit. And I'm like, she comes out with a bottle of cough medicine. It was that big, and it was red. And they started drinking it, and I was like, what in the hell? They are here, you want some? I'm like, no, it had the Lada in it.
Oh, God.
So them two got really messed up on that. So anyway, we went back to the house and that night, and probably another week later, I'd seen them between them. This is a long time ago. I hope I don't mess this story up. He called me up and said him and Debbie wanted to go out to eat. He said, come by and pick me and my girlfriend up. And I said, that'd be fine. He never showed up. Never called me or nothing.
So Alan considered her his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. For about a month or so, I want to say 2 months tops, something like that. She was a real pretty lady.
And he met her at the rehab place?
He met her at the damn Washington police car.
Somebody told me that she had like the first fake boobs.
I have no clue about that.
I'm not going to tell you who told me that. But
that don't sound right. She was, like I said, she was a real pretty, she was a short little blonde lady. And another thing too, Alan liked black-headed women. And he always had these sayings or whatever. He said it can't just be black, it's got to be black like a crow's wing.
Oh, yeah?
That's what Alan would say or whatever. And if you look at Kathy, she got super black hair. And nothing against Brandon Miller. He came over here a few months ago.
Okay.
He wanted to see the Firebird before I had gotten rid of it really bad, but I didn't know who he was. And Mike Owens was supposed to bring him over here, and I got cold feet and didn't let him come over.
Right.
But anyway, he came over here after the fact. But anyway, when I seen his Facebook page, and no disrespect to his wife, but she's got that super black hair. And I thought to myself, if Alan ever met that woman right there around Brandon, that would be trouble, because every woman that I brought to Alan's house, he always, if the one had black hair, look out, Alan mine.
Oh, wow.
And I had the blonde-headed, and he liked the dark.
So if you wanted to keep your girl, you need to get a blonde-haired girl instead of
Craig, it don't matter, okay? Craig Reed is 8 to 80, blind, crippled, stupid, crazy, can't walk. I told him. Okay, I learned a lot of these sayings from Craig. Craig pretty much raised me.
Yeah, and those guys all had like all these great sayings, and like they're almost like songs, Right.
Well, Craig and Alan had more than you could ever imagine. I mean, I was young and naive, I guess, when you're 21 and hear somebody that comes off with all these different stories. But anyway, like I say, a week or so after that, he called me and said he's going to come get me to go out to eat, and he never showed up. And about 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock the next morning, my phone's ringing, and it's Artimus Powell, which I'm good friends with Artimus. I got to double drum with him when he was waiting on Alan. Before this tribute tour, I got to set my drums up with his and work out with him.
That's
and
cool.
That was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot from Artimus. But he called me, wanted to know what the hell happened with Alan's car wreck. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't know nothing about it. So I called Larkin, and he said, yeah, Alan crashed the Thunderbird.
Must have been on the news or something, huh?
Thunderbird last night. Well, he got it through the grapevine.
Yeah.
But on Plummer Grant Road, and like I told you before, Alan had a bad habit of, which he couldn't touch the gas in that car because it had a console, but he had a bad habit of grabbing the steering wheel. And I was ready for it, you know. He always tried to do that, especially.
What was he doing? He grabbed it, just try to.
Being drunk or whatever, just being stupid or dumb or whatever.
Try to swerve or something with it?
I don't know, but I went to the crash site the next day, and you could see a curve, tire tracks in the road, and you could see the culvert where the car hit it, and the car hit it going between 70 and 90 miles an hour, and the car hit the culvert and flipped 2 times and landed up against a pine tree, and both of them went out the passenger door, and the cops wanted Alan so bad they done everything they could to convict Alan on that. They said there was fibers on the driver door.
So she was driving?
She was driving
yeah.
the car because her chest hit the steering wheel, and when they got the life flight there, they couldn't get a tube down her throat, so she passed away on the way to the hospital. But both of them went out the passenger door, and they figured Alan went out first. So there's no way he could have been driving the car if he went out first. But Debbie's parents wouldn't press charges, but they still made Alan do all of the, go around telling everybody not to do drugs on the tribute tour. He had to do all 30, he had to roll out there on his wheelchair, plus he had to go, you heard Chad Reed talking about he had to go in and talk to kids about not doing drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I asked Alan, after the car crash, he was in the hospital for 7 months, and I went and seen him quite often in the hospital, and he asked me to bring him a guitar up there, an acoustic. So I went to the music store and borrowed an acoustic guitar and took it to the hospital and stuck it in his hand, and his hands, after this long, 7 months, being paralyzed, and he was paralyzed from about right here down. I mean, he could feel nothing from that point down, but he still had his arms and everything, but he could never really, he could strum, but he lost all the motor skills in his fingers at that time.
Yeah.
So after in the hospital for 7 months, I told Larkin my lease was fixing to run out on my house in Orange Park. Alan was my best friend. So I told Larkin, I said, I told Alan too, I said, I'll move in and help Alan be the first one to help him get home. So me and my girlfriend were supposed to move in with him when he got out of the hospital. Right before he got out of the hospital, my girlfriend broke up with me. She's like, hey, all the drugs are gone, all the fun's gone, Alan's in a wheelchair, y'all ain't gonna be making no more music or whatever. So anyway, she broke up with me, and I moved in with Alan, and we took all his stuff in his bedroom, was upstairs all the way at the end, and put downstairs and turned the living room into a bedroom, and he made a place in the back where the van could literally drive up into the house and roll into the house, and he had a closet and a big shower. We could actually roll a wheelchair in there and do, clean up and all.
How was his mental state after the accident? Was he?
It never changed. He don't remember none of it. I asked him, I said, do you remember anything at all? Or I said, what happened now? And he said, I don't remember nothing. He got hit in the head so hard, it knocked him cross-eyed for 6 months. Even when he got out of the hospital, he had to wear a patch on his eye because, if you get hit hard enough, it knocks you cross-eyed, and they put a patch over it so it would correct itself, and it did.
Yeah.
But after I moved in with him, this to show you just how Alan was. He's sitting in a wheelchair, not able to play, not able to do nothing, and I'm sitting over there in the chair. He says, you ain't got no girlfriend. You ain't gonna get no more booty or pussy or whatever he would say back then. He's laughing at me because I ain't got no girlfriend and I ain't I lost my girlfriend over that, but he's sitting over there. That just shows you the temperament. He wasn't mad, like, you know, he never changed. He never, like, I was, you know.
So he didn't go around acting bitter about what happened?
Bitter about none of it. Ever. I mean, he cried like a baby when Skynyrd Tribute Band played, and Judy talked about that before, and it was just killing him, which I could understand that. Yeah. Because here, his band, and when they started doing the tribute tour, Alan was what they called supposed to go help with, you know, make sure they played the songs right. And he was up there just going crazy. Gene talked about that, telling them you're all playing the songs wrong. And Gary displayed his part, but Alan was, what's the right way to word that? He was the one that come up with all the little different breaks in the songs, you know, the intricate parts, just like Tuesday's Gone, like that, or dun dun, you know, just little things like that made a big difference. That was Alan, all like on Saturday Night Special, the build-ups and all the different things like that. And Gary was harmonics, you know, Yeah,
it's the same way with Freebird, you know, had a big build-up to it, and then, you know, it just kind of exploded in the end. Did you ever get to see him play Freebird in front of you or anything? Like?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah?
Take that back.
Oh my God.
Alan Collins' band, Hannah Park, I got a picture of it. My band was supposed to open for him. There was like 10 bands out there, and my band was Rainbow Warrior and Toys, and I gave up. Mike Estes don't quite remember what went down back then, but Rainbow Warrior was supposed to play, and I gave up our slot for Helen and Highwater to go play. Yeah. And I told Alan, I said, if I'm not going to play, I said I'd like to be a part. So Larkin hired me and both my brothers to help set up. We had to put plywood down on where the stage is before they set up that morning. And there was 100,000 people out there. So there's pictures of Alan playing out at Hannah Park, and if you look to the left, you can see me standing right there beside Billy Powell. And I got to stand right there the whole show and watch the whole Alan Collins band play and Freebird. And the next day or a couple days later, I went to Alan's house, and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Alan," I said, "God almighty, Billy Powell," because I was standing like right close as me and you when Billy Powell was playing. I said, "Billy Powell, God almighty." And he goes, I know, I've been standing by him for years, I know. And that's how he would talk, you know, and it was funny. But that black Mercedes that's on the Alan Collins band, that car cost $68,000. And 5 cars hit that car on Roosevelt, and it wasn't Alan's fault. And I came up on that wreck. I could tell you a lot about the different car wrecks. Yeah. Because Alan, a lot of the car wrecks that I wasn't around, he told me about. Like, I'm going to show you tomorrow where the Jeep wreck was.
So back to the wreck with him and Debbie. Yeah. So a lot of people are under the impression that Alan was the one driving, but it's basically the law kind of wanted to put him in the seat because he'd been such a habitual drinker and driver, so this is you know, kind of clearing that up a little bit. So yeah, you know.
I will argue that point with anybody that Alan was not driving that car. But it was a bad wreck.
You can see the gouges in the culvert.
Yeah, I'm going to show you exactly.
Yeah, because we went to the wrong place, and that's another thing. You know, that's basically how we got hooked up here. Was because Gene took me to a place when I was doing a Griff Martin on the road, and it was the wrong. Actually, I don't think Gene meant anything by it.
It was close, but it was not.
It was a long time ago. Gene probably thought it was the right place, but
he was close.
But we're going to go to the right place tomorrow, and we're going to take a look at that and some other cool stuff we're going to do.
Yeah, I'm going to show you where the lot was behind Alan's house where everybody parked. Where I shot the gun. Yeah. And I'll show you that, and I'll show you how he comes out of his house and goes straight up to Plumber Grant where that wreck is. And if you go on past where the Thunderbird wreck was, Alan had the maroon Tornado. This was before I knew him. And he was hauling butt down Plumber Grant Road and leaned over to do it too, and came back up, and it was too late, and he hit an oak tree on the other side of old St. Augustine Road down in a ditch. He hit the tree, this is what he told me. he got out of the car and walked home. It's probably a couple miles, 3 miles back down the road. Went back home and sat down in his chair, and it wasn't too long. The cops showed up. The cops found a car wrecked in the ditch that belonged to Alan Collins and no driver around. So they went to his house and picked him up and took him to jail and got the car and all. That was just one of
Yeah, him and Gary were hell on those oak trees, you know?
Yeah, and he blew the clutch in that coupe. I got to ride around in the coupe quite a bit too. That was fun. It wasn't no fun when Alan driving it, but it was fun. But back then it was an old 60s conversion. We put a 283 with a 4-speed, and it was really a rickety. But Alan loved that car more than anything, and he got it from Leon.
Before his accident, when you were hanging around Alan, did he like have his guitar all the time, and was he playing it all the time, or what was he like, you know, with his guitar and practicing?
When he walked into his living room, he probably had 3 or 4 of those guitar stands that held like 3 guitars in each stand. He probably had 10 guitars in each stand. His living room, and he had an amp in his living room too, and he always, he liked playing the guitar quite a bit.
And I heard he was like a really generous guy. He was always trying to give you stuff that
when somebody come over, you know, to visit or whatever, and if they wanted a picture or something, you know, he would do that. But he didn't like people that treated him like he was a star. He called it starstruck or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess that made him nervous. But if you didn't act like he was anybody and y'all got along real good, I mean, he was the kindest person you could ever meet, ever.
So what would you say would be, and this might be hard for you, your fondest memory of you two guys, you know?
Giving me stuff for my birthday.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was going on a trip to North Carolina. Actually, it was when my brother got that going, and me and my brother went up there, and it was my birthday weekend, and he said, come by my house before you go, and he gave us a big old bag of cocaine.
So, I mean, that, you know,
I know, like
that's a pretty expensive gift, you know. I mean.
The Lincoln Continental that we wrecked up in Georgia, I can tell you all about that. It's in this book right here. This is by Mike Fitzgerald, which you can look it up. But we drove a Lincoln Continental up there, but before we went up there, I think he was in rehab or I don't remember, but I kept the car for a couple weeks while he was gone, and I cleaned it up, waxed it, made it look real good, and tuned it up, did everything. When I got back, he goes, you can have this car. Because he thought that was really cool that I cleaned it up. You know, most people, you know, I was a mechanic. That's what I did. And I said, no. I said, I don't want this Lincoln Continental. I said, if you want to give me the 32 Plymouth Coupe, you can do that. And he looked at me, he goes, oh no. He says, I'm going to die owning that car.
And Craig ended up with that one.
Craig ended up with it. But yeah, that's kind of like where that went. And he tried to give me Derek's drums, and I said no. You know, he always tried to give me stuff like that, which, you know, that wasn't what it was about with me. All I wanted to do was write songs.
Well, that's why he liked you, you know, because you were like normal and you didn't want to use him for anything that he had. So
yeah, I miss him bad. I can't believe we're talking about this many years later. If somebody would have told me I'd be sitting on talking to somebody on a podcast about our crazy adventures.
Well, it's this kind of stuff, you know, it's long overdue for getting out. You know, there's people that want to hear this, and there's not a whole lot of people like you left around that, you know, can go back and remember all these fond memories.
Well, it was a small
stuff.
circle that Alan had of friends. But he had some really good friends.
And when I was talking to Craig, you know, he'd mention your name, you know, but he never told me anything about, you know, your experiences with Alan. And Craig, you know, he's the kind of guy that nothing is really, you know, some great memory for him. You know, he just got so many of them. He's just callous to them all, and then, you know, whenever I talked to you on the phone and you were telling me all these things, and I was like, Craig, man, why didn't you tell me about this guy before? He goes, well, I tried to tell you, you know, but Craig trying to tell you something, you know, he's just Nothing excites him, you know.
After I met Alan and they were still rehearsing for the Alan Collins band, like I say, I worked right down the road at King Auto Air, and Craig would go get Alan and take him to rehearsal, and sometimes they would stop by my work, and they knew my boss and everything, and say, we need to borrow Steve for a few minutes, you know. If I wasn't busy or whatever, I'd jump in the car with him, and Tom and Betty's was right up the road. That was the liquor store right there on Cassidy. It's not there anymore, but they'd come by and pick me up and take me around, you know, smoke a joint or whatever, and get me all messed up and take me back home or back to the job and drop me off, and that was pretty cool. And then with Craig, after the Alan Collins band broke up and everybody wanted to get paid, and Alan lost the record contract, and of course everybody, you know, they were on salary at that point, and so Craig had to do what he did, so he left and went on the road with Journey or whatever, and that time I started playing with Alan, so I pretty much picked up right where Craig dropped off. I ended up with the keys to the studio, the keys to his house, and
Craig always said that. He always said, yeah, you know, that you were the other guy with the spare set of keys to the studio.
No, that was the St. Augustine studio. The guy he left the car, I could tell you the story.
Oh, okay.
That was I can't think of I got the tip of my tongue, but he lived in St. Augustine. He was close to the studio, but that's when they were doing I don't consider the tribute tour. That was when they were in the 90s. And they were trying to write songs, and this is how they got Mike Estes in the band. They were having all these different people like Brett Michaels and from Poison, the guy from Cinderella, all these people would come and try to write lyrics, music for the guys, because Johnny and them couldn't write very well, and that's who you're talking about there.
Oh, yeah, okay,
and Leon gave Craig a 1965 Malibu. Remember the one the guy called and said that, do you have the title of that car?
Oh, that one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leon gave him that car. It was an old white Ford.
Yeah, he left it out in some field, and the guy, Craig still has the title for it.
I think of the guy's name in a minute. But Leon at this time lived over off of Blanding Boulevard, and he was married to Rhonda. And I was real close to Leon, probably the closest to Leon than anybody else in the band other than Alan. And he gave Craig that car, and like I say, it was an old Malibu, a 65 four-door. And Craig was living with Beverly at the time. That was, I don't know what number wife that is, but she lived over off of Jones Road, and he took that car over there. And I went over to visit him, and he went out there and pulled the seats and all the carpet out of the car, and he was out there with a water hose washing the dirt out of this car. And Beverly's dad was a real old farmer dude or whatever, and he come out there and he goes, oh boy, I had a water hose up in that car. But he cleaned it all up, and I helped him get it running real good. And he drove it all over the place. And he called me, and they were having a photo shoot at Channel 4 downtown Jacksonville for the band or whatever. And I don't remember what the reason for me going there, but I went there. And when I got there, they got me to move Gary's truck over closer to him, and I came back. But to make a long story longer, after they did the photo shoot, Craig had that Malibu, and he had Leon and Billy in it, and they're going down Riverside Avenue, and I'm following them, and Billy's hanging out the back of this car going, we finally made it. They're driving by where the old studio is on Riverside, and he called that car the Boo because it was a Malibu. And that's the story with the Malibu. But after he let Ronnie Caruso, his buddy, borrow it,
yeah, he overheated it.
He burned it up, and Craig just parked it in a field down there at that man's house. I'll think of his name in a minute. But that's the story with the Malibu, but Leon gave that to him. And
after the accident when Alan got paralyzed, as far as like taking care of himself, you know, and taking a shower and stuff like that, how did he do all that?
He had nurses that came in and took care of him. When I moved in with him, we had a nurse that come in every day and took care of Alan. They had a maid that come in and cooked all the meals, and I've been living by my girlfriend before that, but got all my clothes washed, all the stuff, everything. It was really not really cool, but you know, Alan being in the wheelchair.
Right, but
anyway, he never changed. He still, you know. But then when he started, longer it went by, the old habits started coming back, and he wanted to go to the store and get a liquor bottle like I did before. And, And I could see it coming on, you know, and he started doing the cocaine again and drinking. And Larkin told me, he said, don't go to the store and get him nothing. And Alan says, well, if you don't go to the store, then you can move out.
That's kind of like Elvis Presley did to his help, you know.
Right.
Don't give me an ice cream sandwich when I tell you, but if you don't, you get fired.
So anyway, Larkin told me not to, and Alan told me to. And that's when I knew right then that my days would pretty much run its course with that. I still stayed friends with him, but I moved out at that point. And I'm kind of glad I did, because they started a tribute tour within months after that. I could have went on the road with the whole tribute tour. I could have did the whole deal, because Alan got a special van and he had to go and do all this stuff. And Scott Campbell went with him. And Scott Campbell is a really close friend of Alan. He's been that way for a long, long time. His daddy was Monroe Campbell, the fishing guy that used to be here in town. And Alan was really close to, that's one of his closer friends for sure. And he went on the road with him, and a few years back I ran into him again, and he started telling me about when he took Alan on the road with the tribute tour, and he'd get to a town and they didn't have cocaine or whatever. Larkin would send Scott out looking for drugs for Alan in a wheelchair. And I wasn't going to be part of watching Alan kill the rest of his
So Larkin kind of...
Oh, he let him do whatever he did. And like I said, I met Larkin at the same time. And when I was playing with Alan back then, we were going somewhere during the day, and we stopped by the office where Larkin was at. I think we had to go there. And we walked in the office and walked in his office there, and Alan whips out a bag of cocaine and dumps it out on Larkin's desk. Lines up some big old lines right there in front of Larkin and hands it to me. So I'm supposed to...
So what was Larkin doing? Just kind of sitting there?
He was whatever.
What was he like? Was he a pretty nice guy?
He was. He was... Alan called him the horse. And he didn't take shit from nobody, and but he loved Alan. And
what do you know about their relationship? Like, when he was growing up, I hear that Larkin wasn't around, and did he at one point after they became
I've
famous?
heard that story, but when I was around any of them, his mother, his dad, I never seen none of that. They were all extremely close.
Yeah.
Everybody, his mother and his mom and dad separated a long time ago. I guess when Alan was a kid. Larkin remarried, but Alan's mom would come over there, and he had a special cake he liked, and she'd bring him cakes or whatever, and cook him all that stuff. And I met his sister one time over there. This was before he got in the car crash. I met most of his family, and I was close to Amy and Allison, and they were just little kids back then. I mean, Allison would, and Alan loved those kids. My God, he just loved them more than anybody could ever imagine. And
did Alan ever talk about the plane crash at all to you? Or, yeah. What did he say?
What I wanted to tell you before that, I came along in Alan's life at the most darkest point in his life. I didn't realize it at the time. You think about somebody having a band that toured the world, losing all of his bandmates, his best friend, Dean, and everybody he growed up with, and then get through that and get another band going, and then Kathy passes away, pregnant, and I met him like a year or so right after that, and then this band breaks up, and I just happened to be there at the worst time, and I watched them go down the hill, and I tried everything I could to stop that. But
well, it sounded like you were a good friend to him.
Yeah, he like Craig says, the Ladas, and he would suit up. And the first time I ever seen him I ain't never stuck a needle in my arm my whole life. The doctor's the only body that ever stuck a needle in my arm. But I took him somewhere. I had a '69 Camaro Rally Sport, and I took him over to one of his friends to get that shit. And we came back down the road, and he said, pull up behind the studio. And back then it was a big, all woods behind it over there. And I pulled right up behind the studio right there, and he gets his stuff out and his needles and all that shit. And he brings something and hold my arm. And I'm like, oh God. So anyway, I sat there and held him on. I said, Alan, you shouldn't be doing this shit, man.
Yeah.
And about that time, Needle and the Spoon came on the radio. I swear.
Really?
I swear to God. And he looked at me with the biggest.
Oh,
he looked
man.
at me real funny. He said, "Don't ever do this."
That was Ronnie coming back at him.
Right. So that was, like I say, there was all kinds of little things like that. And riding down the road, and if a Skynyrd song come on the radio, and one time we were cruising down the highway, and I always had a really good radio in my car, and Freebird came on the radio. We're riding down the road in my Camaro, and Alan's over there in the passenger seat.
Air guitar?
Air guitar and Freebird. While I'm driving down the road, I'm like,
wow.
Nobody's going to believe it. So that was pretty cool right there.
I mean, you know, how crazy is that, you know, that you're in the car with Alan and Freebird comes on and
well, like I said,
Needle and the Spoon, that's
4 years that I'm the only one that played drums for him for at least 3 of those 4 years, and we wrote those songs, and I'm going to release some of this eventually. I got music that he wrote that, like I said, told you, it sounds like the original Skynyrd to me.
Yeah.
It's more of a country kind of sounding stuff, and I'm going to do something with that eventually.
And we were talking about, when I asked you about the plane crash, did you ever talk about?
Yeah, okay. Plane crash, he told me that he was sitting in his chair, and the pilots came through and said that, you know, y'all put your head between your legs or whatever, we're going to lay this thing down. And he told me he looked up and he started seeing, that's what it was, he started seeing trees tips hitting the wings.
Yeah.
Like that. He said when he started that, and he looked back forward, and he said when he seen the trees start to come through the front windshield, he said he ducked like that, and he said he woke up in the mud with helicopters flying over.
Yeah.
That's all he remembers from the plane crash. And that's what he told me. Leon told me he don't remember none of it completely.
Oh, you talked to Leon about it too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went by Leon's old house, and you said it used to be a church.
Yeah.
And then I asked Craig, I said, Craig, when was it he moved out of there? And Craig was a little vague on it. Do you know when it was?
He moved out of there probably he lived in Grove Park in 85. That's over off of Wells Road. He had a big two-story. This is when he was married to Cherie. This is when he had the blue Porsche. I got to drive that blue Porsche. Leon used to come over to my house. And inside the car, it had a plaque on the glove box that said built for Leon Wilkerson, but it was a 1981 928 Porsche.
Thank you guys for watching part 1 of the On the Road with Griff Martin to Jacksonville with Steve Reynolds. Did so much videoing there that had to put it in 2 parts. So that was part 1. Steve, what a great guy, you know, to take us around on those cool places, all those cool places that we went. Part 2, you're going to get to go to the Hell House and go to some places where actually Leon Wilkerson lived, and some places where Alan lived, and then a lot of places where Alan got in some car wrecks and actually eventually got paralyzed. So more good stuff to come. Make sure you watch part 2. Be next week on the road with Griff Martin. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.